Okay, so we are going to make our cheater samosa rolls. All we need for these basically are rice paper wrappers. You can see these ones aren't very large. They are just traditional, what they would be used for Vietnamese spring rolls. That's what makes these samosa rolls kind of cheater, because we're not using a pastry. I've got some warm water here to soften these, and I've got my samosa filling here. So we're just going to barely get this wet. You don't want to let it sit in the water too long, because they get quite pliable even just with a quick dunk in the water. I'm going to place them on my cutting board here and just let them kind of soften. So now that it's starting to soften, you can see here it's not fully soft, but it's definitely more pliable. We're going to take just a nice heaping teaspoon of our samosa filling, and that's just potatoes, onions, ginger, pepper, garlic, peas, and tons of great Indian seasonings. And we're going to just roll this up like a regular spring roll. So just kind of once over, get the sides in there, and keep rolling. So it's kind of still a little bit tough, I guess, on the one end because it hasn't fully softened. But if we just set it over on its side like this on the plate, it will soften up and be perfectly ready to fry. So there is a rolled cheater samosa roll. Okay, so now it's time to fry our samosa rolls. I've just got some vegetable oil heated, probably not even a full inch of oil heated in over medium-high heat. You want to make sure that the pan's quite hot and the oil's quite hot so that the wrappers don't just soak up a bunch of oil and get pretty well just greasy. So we've got our samosa rolls here, all wrapped and nice. We're just going to stick that in the hot oil, and it's going to start sizzling pretty quick here. You don't want it to be a violent sizzle because the rice paper is so delicate that you don't want it to rip apart. You also want to be careful that your tongs don't stick to that sticky rice paper. There we go. We've got our rolls in the hot oil. We're going to let them brown up pretty nicely on that one side, and then we're going to flip them over and get the other side nicely browned as well. Okay, so we're going to give these a flip over. It's been about maybe 2 to 3 minutes, I suppose, since we put them in the pan. And so when we flip it over, it should be nicely brown, starting to get kind of crunchy. Sometimes you can get little air bubbles in, so we'll just do a quick little pop so that the last thing we want is it for it to explode, because of that force will just push the filling out into the pan and kind of ruin the whole spring roll or samosa roll. Give that a flip, nice and golden brown. There we go. And we'll let this go for a few more minutes on the other side till it's evenly browned. Okay, so our spring rolls, or samosa rolls, are just ready to come out of the oil now. Turn off the oil. So what we want to do is make sure that any of the excess oil kind of drips off. The only problem with putting the rice paper wrappers on like a sheet of paper towel or something like that is that when they start to cool down, the moisture kind of returns to the spring roll wrapper and it can actually end up sticking to the paper towel. So we don't want to do that. We're just going to put it onto a plate. Another option was to use a wire cooling rack and have that kind of down on the underneath the wire cooling rack, put some paper towel and let the excess oil drip off. All right. And so this is our finished product. We've got some cheater samosa rolls. So that's rice paper wrapper stuffed with a samosa filling. And we're just serving it with a little bit of tamarind chutney here. And it's just store-bought tamarind chutney. It's quite tasty. We use it with our pakoras, samosas, things like that. There you have it. Nice, crispy cheater samosa rolls.